Championships are only the beginning. Dynasty Road.
Welcome back to Dynasty Road. I'm Jordo, and he's EFO. What's up, EFO?
What's going on, man? How you doing, Jordo?
Doing good. So today we're going to be talking about some second-year NBA players that you might want to target, and this is the perfect time in the season to do so. And so we're going to get into that. Before we do that, check us out on all our platforms on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Look up Dynasty Road and follow us there. We'll be uploading content on all those platforms, as well as our YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit the bell on that as well. Today, EFO, we're thinking about we're at the point in the season where you kind of you're starting to decide whatever format you're in your league. Do I have a chance to win the league or not? And so therein lies the theme of this show, which is if you're really not going to win the league, could you possibly snag some second-year players that might be flying under the radar? Maybe they're not flying under the radar, but if you can get them, acquire them from a team that's in the hunt, you're going to have to give up a big name player, probably most likely a top 25 player to get them. But now you're getting a younger player with more upside. Do you agree with that?
When you think about dynasty hoops, I mean, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at building a young core. You're looking at, having it go not just one season, but, a perpetual winner every year. So giving up those older players, those top 25s that are not helping you.
Exactly.
It balances out. It would be the same as just trying to do it in real life. You're in the tanking department almost, but you're building for the future.
So let's see if we can list some of these older players. Maybe you have one or two or maybe three of them, and they're still not helping you to advance. If you're in head-to-head, you're not winning your weekly matchups. If you're in rotisserie, you're not moving up the standings at all. Okay. So I'm thinking of, I'll just start it off and just you tell, whatever you think about it. So I'm thinking someone like a Kevin Durant.
Okay. Yep.
You got Kevin Durant on your team. Now he's injured, but let's just assume that he's healthy. Probably somebody that you should have been looking to maybe offload this season at some point anyway. But a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James,
Westbrook,
a Westbrook, perfect. Kyrie Irving,
Paul George. I mean, he might be done for the season, but Paul George, almost anybody on the Lakers. No.
And then you get into some of the like now we're talking like top 15 players, a Gobert, a Steph Curry, a Trae Young. Well, actually Trae Young's and he's not an older player, but
No.
yeah. So like a Gobert, a Capella, who's only getting you limited stats, but for that team that's in the running, it might be the guy that puts them over the edge. Maybe they have a weakness in rebounds and blocks, field goal percentage.
Right. And if you're trading to a player that's in the lead and is winning your league, even if he goes off for a month, that might be the difference between winning the league and not winning the league.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost worth it for just to get those kind of players to go off for that 1 month or so where they get hot and they go crazy, and that might actually propel them enough to take over that number one spot and not even give it up.
Yeah. All right. So let's pull this up. This is a grid that I got from NBA.com, and the stats are per 48 minutes played. And so when you're using that stat, you're trying to see if this person had the opportunity for more minutes, what would his stats look like? And then in other cases, like an Anthony Edwards, he's already getting the minutes. So you're seeing what he would put up if he played a whole game, every game. Okay, so here's what I did. I highlighted for the points. I kind of used 20 points as my baseline. So if they were above that, they got a highlight. I mean, Halliburton's right there.
Yeah.
So I used 3-pointers. So if they were above 3, I used that as my metric. Halliburton again is right there. You know, even Campazzo, he's at 2.5. And then we had free throws. Again, I used like 3 as my baseline. Rebounds, I used 7 as my baseline. And then assists,
because if you're a player and you're getting 23 and 7 every night, it's pretty good. That's a pretty decent.
You have to think of it this way. No player is going to put up 48 minutes. So if they're in 48 minutes, if they're putting up 7 rebounds in 36 minutes, 33 minutes, they're probably putting up around 5.
Right, but it's still a solid stat line.
Correct.
You know, they're hitting all the categories.
Assists, I use 6 as the baseline. Steals, I used 2. Oh no, I guess I used like
1.5 maybe.
Yeah, 1. Like 1.7. Like this guy's at 1.5 quickly.
Yeah.
But blocks, I used 1 as the baseline.
Yep.
Okay. And then double doubles. Your league might not count double doubles, but I added those in there. So anyway, here are the number of categories that got highlighted per player. So,
okay. Yeah.
So Bay got 4 highlights. Halliburton got 4 with 2. He could have been at
very
6.
close. He could have had 6. Yeah.
But your high guys are LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Cole Anthony, surprisingly, and I would include Halliburton in there.
Yeah, because Halliburton's just right on that cusp. He's
yeah. So I would say that those guys, your Halliburton, your Edwards, your Ball, I wouldn't even put Anthony in there. Those are like your top guys that you're not gonna sneak those away from anybody, most likely.
Right. Yeah. Unless they're very desperate and they just decide to throw a grenade into it.
True. Or it could be a 3-for-3 deal where you're giving him a Harden, a Gobert, and a Westbrook.
Right.
And you're getting back LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and Halliburton.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a tough trade for me.
I know.
Even if I was winning the league, I think I'd have a hard time trading that away. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. It might be tough. Then again,
I guess it depends on what it would have to be guys that I need, obviously.
Giving you stats that you need.
Yeah.
And it's not like Gobert is like in that scenario, Gobert's not an old guy. I think probably
27.
For you, I would say the deal breaker on that one is Westbrook because he's so old, I guess, in your mind. Is that true?
Not that he's old, just that Westbrook tends to be a little up and down, way too much up and down, way too much roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the season, everything kind of, all the stats are there, but how he gets there is extremely frustrating. And I guess I just don't want to deal with it.
It's true.
That's just it for me. Because at the end of the year, it's like, oh my goodness, the guy averaged a triple double, like, in every single category. But like, he'd have like, 2 points one night, but like 15 assists, and it's like, it was just a little, for me, it was just a little too crazy.
He's a slow starter. And that proved true this year too. Like he was okay. He kind of is in a little bit of a lull right now. This is end of January. I remember I had him last year, and I remember the last 2 months of the year, he was spectacular.
Right.
So that could be a selling point if you're trying to get rid of him. That, yeah, he starts off slow a lot of years, but he absolutely nails it the last 2 months of the season. I mean, I think he was getting triple doubles every game.
Pretty much towards the end of the season last year. It was ridiculous. It was insane.
Who did I say? Gobert, Westbrook, and
Harden.
And Harden. How do you feel about Harden as far as his age, health?
No, Harden, at least this season, I mean, I've been watching him a little bit more than last. He seems to be pretty
like reliable, consistent.
Reliable. Yes, consistent. There you go. Consistent. That's what it seems like. I haven't seen him missing too many games. Because of any injuries, like major injuries. I mean, obviously everyone misses games for rest and, small little tweaks here and there and stuff like that. It's the NBA. That just happens. But, in terms of like those disappointing lulls, or there's those disappointing missing, like, 2 weeks at a time, 2 weeks miss, a week back, 2 weeks miss, a week back, that kind of stuff. It seems like Harden's been pretty decent. I actually wouldn't mind him on my team.
Okay.
For our league, because of, we do pricing. I think sometimes he gets a little bit too pricey for my blood. But I mean, in terms of like a player that I wouldn't mind even bidding for, or even trying to trade for, I wouldn't mind him.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of the type of deal that could be done. Now, in one day, I made 2 trades because I realized I wasn't going to win the league. And so let me just bring these up here on my computer. And just to give you an idea of what could be done. And so the players I was trading, the teams I was trading players to are both still in it. They're kind of like in second and fourth place, but there's only like a point or two that separates them. And they have a chance of winning the season. So the first trade was Westbrook, Capella, Giannis. Okay, so Giannis is the kingpin there. I would say Capella was actually, he needed centers. So Capella was the second one, and Westbrook was the caboose on that.
Right.
And I got back Van Vliet, DeRozan, and LaMelo Ball.
Which was very nice.
And you might say, well, DeRozan, in our league, it's an auction league, so he's real cheap. So I will take what he provides at the price.
Because you're not paying a lot for him.
Yeah. So he's not the youngest guy in the world, but I will keep him for next year. Okay, so that was deal number 1. Deal number 2, I traded away Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, and Gobert. So in that deal, Gobert's your number 1, Beal's your number 2, Chris Paul's your number 3.
Right.
But, we count double doubles. Chris Paul, when you can get double doubles from your guard position, it's huge. And he can do that on any given night.
Yeah, because he's always up there with the assists. He's always a 10 assist, guy. So always so close. So it's just really anything else he gives you. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, how much more does he have? How much more is that going to be? Yeah. I always feel like with him, and some of the other guys you've mentioned, it's like they're one bad injury away from being done.
Right.
And it's
Uh,
like, at
he's
least with some of the guys, it's like if they get a bad injury, like, like a Ball, he breaks a leg, you don't mind holding on to him for one more season and then letting him play.
mhm.
Chris Paul breaks a leg, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
like,
You completely
do I
lost.
really
that
want to
place.
touch him next year?
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
I mean, it's mean. It's because like these guys are like, in their 30s only, and
well, but you're dealing with someone
but
who's
it's what
like
the
in their,
sports is, it's what the sport is.
what is he in his 17th season, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think he, I think he might have come a year after LeBron. I think he was in the '04 draft. I could be wrong about that, but so you have Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, Rudy Gobert, and what I got back was Darius Garland, Josh Giddey, Miles Bridges. Now, who I really wanted, the offer that I made was Garland, Giddey, and Anthony Edwards is who I really wanted to get back.
Well, yeah. To have Ball and Edwards, yeah, that would have been a nice little duo there.
So, but I wanted to get the deal done, and I didn't. He was wavering. He was expressing uncertainty that he was going to be able to catch the number one team.
Right. So then the deal would have been completely done. You would have gotten nothing.
Yeah, like I didn't want to feed that. I could have added. I had Paul George on my injury reserve. I was thinking maybe if I had added him and done a 4 for 3, I give up 4, get 3. Maybe I could have got Edwards back, but I don't even think that would have done it because he really likes Edwards. But all of those players that I got back are cheap and they're young. So, and they've been performing well.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, those guys are good. It's like, you got Edwards and you got Ball. It's, I mean, Ball's in the top 20. Edwards is just outside the top 30 right now on Yahoo. It's like, and that's just right now. And that's going to change.
So let me bring up the grid again, because we're talking about your top tier second players right now. Okay. So you're probably going to have to give up, as we were saying, a Harden, a Steph Curry, a Gobert. Yeah. You might have to give up a Jokic or an Embiid or a Giannis to get these players. Now, you might say to yourself, in a standard dynasty league, I don't want to give up Giannis to get those players. And I could agree with you there. I can understand that.
Right. Yeah.
Might not even want to give up Jokic. I can understand that.
Yep.
In those scenarios, I would almost see if you could do a 3 for 1 or a 2 for 1 or a 3 for 3. But the two other guys you're giving up are really not much of anything, but you're getting 3 second year guys back.
Right. As long as, yeah. I mean, if you can get Halliburton or Edwards or Ball back, without giving up too much, and for a Giannis and 2 other wing guys, then yeah, that'd be a good.
A good guy also like if you have a Doncic, you might not want to give him up. But if you've got someone like a Jimmy Butler or an Anthony Davis who kind of gets injured every year, or a Tatum, even though he's young, maybe you don't really believe in him and you don't think that he can really give you the power you need to win the league every year.
Right.
Then you might think about giving him up. So that's the top tier of these second year players.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess Tatum. I don't know if I'd give up Tatum for Edwards or Ball.
Let me ask you this: between Edwards and Ball, who would you rather have?
Between Edwards and Ball, I think I would go with Ball, only because he really does seem like the only one on Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Edwards, he does share a little bit more on Minnesota with, you know, having to share the ball a little bit more. But I mean, but again, it's very close. I mean,
I would rather
Edwards
have
gives you a
Ball.
little, yeah.
Because looking at these stats per 48 minutes, so Edwards would give you 31 points, 7 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 2 steals and a block.
Yep.
So that's good. You know, those are awesome stats. Plus, he'd get you 4.5 threes and 4 free throws. So those are solid. I mean, that's top tier right there. But when you look at LaMelo Ball, he'll get you 28.9 points.
Yep.
He'll get you 10 rebounds and 11 assists.
Right. So he's basically a triple double every night.
Yeah.
If you know, that's why I think because he's the main focus in Charlotte right now, that would be the reason why I would want him over Edwards. And that's the only reason why.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the next tier. Some of these guys in the 5, 4, and 3 range. So this is where it gets interesting, and we're going to include Cole Anthony in this. So you got Cole Anthony, Jayshawn Tate, Bane, Tyrese Maxey, Halliburton, Sadiq Bey. So maybe we'll keep the 3s out for now. Maybe we'll put them in the next tier. So you got 5s and 4s. You got Bey, Halliburton, Bane, Tate, and Anthony. And surprisingly, you got Vassell.
Right. Vassell was really good, especially at the beginning of the season. And if you're going to go with 4s, it's also quickly as well.
Yes. When you start to get into the 4s with quickly, you got to look at the stats that he's giving you. And if you don't really need free throws or 3s, he's not going to give you a whole lot.
Right. Which is extremely frustrating because of who the Knicks even have as their starting point guard in Walker. It's like quickly can't overtake Kemba Walker.
No,
like, so it's kind of sad to think about that with quickly, because like he has so much talent and so much opportunity right there, only at like what was he 22 years old, and it's like he can't take over a 31-year-old.
But that's a great
back-to-backs.
So there's a great candidate that if the minutes were to increase, then I mean you'd be getting 6 and 5. So I should have actually highlighted 5 because he's a point guard. So you're getting 5 rebounds from your point guard. You'd be getting a steal and a half. He'd be a solid point guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that he just hasn't put it together yet.
But let's talk about some of these other guys here.
Yeah.
So Vassell is a great candidate to be able to you might be able to steal him from somebody.
Yes.
I think if I'm a contending team, if I'm like in second place and I've got Vassell on my team and you're offering me even a Durant. Well, no, Durant's injured. I keep forgetting that. If you're offering me, I mean, even
Westbrook.
a Westbrook or a Capella, let's say I don't have any centers. I'm going to give him up.
Right. If you're going in, because if you're even looking at it like, so let's just say, I don't know how many guys look at what the stat that you're looking at there, but Vassell right now on the current rank in Yahoo is 162. So if you offered someone even in the 30s, for Vassell, you'd probably be able to get him just based off of what most people go with. I think they go with the rank, and then with our league, how much the person's cost too.
Well, you're touching on a very, very key point, because if you look at stats per 48 minutes, you are looking at something that most people are not looking at.
Right.
And so that's where you're able to make a good deal, is the forward thinking. If this guy gets the opportunity, now I have an idea of what he's going to produce.
Right.
Whereas the guy that already owns that player may not even have any idea, and so they just give him up. I mean, I think the owner that traded me LaMelo Ball, if he saw what his per 48-minute stats were, I probably wouldn't have got him. Because I don't think there's not many players in the league per 48 minutes that are going to average a triple-double.
True. True. Other than Westbrook, maybe. Right. And so, and I don't think a lot of guys think that way. I think they go on name recognition. I think they go on the rank, if the player's hot or not. Because obviously, you know, you look at look at Vassell, he's 162, but if he had a bad month or two, that's going to skewer it, and he could be hot again. And it's like, but look what the 48 can give you, you know? So it's like,
yes,
I honestly didn't think he would be this good this long. I did have him, and I did trade him away for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Let's not.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I just wanted to see.
That was a very bad trade. I don't know what the heck I was thinking with that trade, to truth be told.
Yeah, but that was part of a huge package. I mean, you got Bradley Beal and Brandon Ingram. You gave up Jordan Clarkson, Devin Vassell, Towns, and Wagner.
Right.
But that was back in November.
Right. But Vassell was actually, he was, you could see the potential then. And I only picked him up off the waiver wire, and I traded him away. So to me, that was almost like a win-win.
Yeah.
And I got Beal to flip him for something else.
And I mean, he's not, so this is a great point. This is a great player because he's not lighting it up. I mean, he got 12, 4, and 6 his last game with 4 threes and a block. It's a nice stat line, but it's not like, it doesn't make your eyes bug out looking at it.
Right.
15, 4, and 1 the game before with 3 threes, 9, 3, 1, and 9, 3, 1 and a steal with no threes. You know, 19, 8, 1, 2, and 2 with 4 threes. But in some of these games, I mean, he's in his last 7 games, 8 games, he's shot 40%, 400, 500, 364, 700, 333, 273, 364, 300.
Yeah, he hasn't been that sharp.
So he's going to kill your field goal percentage.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. This is you're sifting through the bargain bin here. People, I don't think, the good thing is whoever owns him, there's probably not going to be many people in your league who have formed an emotional attachment to this player.
True. Yeah, I don't think they would. Not yet, anyway.
Like they would,
unless they're like a complete San Antonio Spurs, diehard guru.
Yes.
But the other thing is Vassell, what he can do in 48 minutes. He was a rookie last year. San Antonio doesn't really play rookies. Popovich is not a rookie kind of guy. And he's only 21 years old. He'll be 22 towards the beginning of next season. So he's only going to be 22 in the beginning of next season. So it's like he can, if you can get a hold of him for relatively cheap, you can see what he can do.
Is Popovich still the coach on Spurs?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing is that he's on a team with Popovich as his coach.
Right. Who not hates, but he does not play rookies. He doesn't play young guys that much anyway.
But like Kawhi Leonard started on the Spurs.
Right.
So he might not be getting the time this year, but what happens next year and the year after?
Oh yeah. And that's why and that's what Dynasty, you're not playing for 1 year. You're playing for 3 or 4 years down the road and trying to get these guys now and looking at them and being like, okay, yeah, he might be ranked at 162 right now, but in 2 more years, he could actually be a top 25 player.
Okay. So we're talking about Vassell, but he's actually not what I would say is at the top of tier 2. At the top of tier 2, you're probably looking at Sadiq Bey, Therese Halliburton, and Desmond Bain.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, Bey and Halliburton, I mean, they're both actually less categories than Vassell. But like we said before, Halliburton is very close to having 6 categories.
And so let's just run through this. So Halliburton would give you 19, 5, and 10. Right. Okay. With 2.3 steals and a block. So those defensive stats are huge.
They are huge.
If you can win steals and blocks, you are on your way to winning championships.
Right. Because those are the hardest. Those are such an overlooked, because everyone goes for the points, everyone goes for the rebounds, everybody goes for the threes, and everybody can hit them. But like you said, if you can get those blocks and steals, it's
because if you're playing head to head, here's the thing. If you're playing head to head and you're kind of in the middle of the pack, it's going to be a toss up every week, whether you win those categories or not. Whereas if you've got 2 or 3 guys that specialize or dominate in those categories consistently, and you win those categories every single week, whether you're playing head to head or rotisserie, it's going to put you ahead of everyone else, because even in a 10-team rotisserie league, like in our league, you're only probably looking at 50 steals between the number 1 slot and the number 8 slot. So there's a lot of fighting going on, flip-flopping. And the same thing with blocks. You might be looking at 80 blocks between number 1 and number 10 or number 8. So if you can push yourself ahead of the pack, now you're above the storm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Halliburton. Bey, now you have Bey. He would average 21, 8, and 3. 21, 8, and 3. And he's in the shooting guard, small forward position.
Right.
And he doesn't get you blocks. He gets you a good amount of steals here.
Steals, yeah, at least 1 a game, which isn't horrible.
Gets you 3.5 threes.
Yeah.
Which Halliburton is right there too. I mean, Halliburton really should be in the top tier.
Oh yeah, that was the same thing with him coming into his rookie year. It was like he was just right below all the Ball and Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he was always right there. I think he finished 3rd in the voting.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a polished player that, unfortunately, some owners didn't really appreciate what they had, and they traded him away a little too early in the season.
No one we know.
No, not one at all. No one at all.
I think he got tossed around a lot.
What, just in general, or?
Yeah, in general.
No, once I traded him to Jay, and Jay's had him.
Oh, okay. We're focusing on second-year players. as opposed to rookies. I mean, we'll probably do a video on rookies too, but
Yeah.
the rookies tend to have the attention of the fellow owners in the league. And after the rookie year, that second year, the sophomore year, they're kind of pushed off to the side. Like people aren't kind of forgotten maybe a little bit about them. At least some of the owners may have. And so this is where you can get some value when no one's looking.
Right.
And then
So
next year.
And if you think about just our league, maybe 7 guys out of last year's draft class we actually had on our teams at the beginning of the year that we actually drafted. Only 7 guys. Now you add, people have added Vassell, they've added Cole Anthony, they've added
Tate,
Precious,
Tate too.
They've added Tate, they've added Bain. You know, they've added these guys.
Maxey was on the waiver wire.
I couldn't remember if he was there or not. So Maxey. So yeah. So it's like, so all right. So there was six guys from last year's rookie class, as opposed to I think this year's rookie class. I already count 14 rookies already on people's teams right now. And I think there's a couple more that I'm just forgetting that I'm like, because we add and subtract so often. So you went from 6 guys from the rookies last year to now 14. And then you think about some of the guys that, who's actually doing anything. Some of the guys that people picked up and had them from last year, they're not really doing anything. Like Wiseman still isn't playing yet. Williams still isn't playing yet.
Right.
Anthony he stepped up big time, but he wasn't on anybody's team.
Nope.
He was a waiver wire addition.
Okay. So that brings us back to this. So you probably no. Let me ask you your opinion on Bay. He hasn't. What do you think the temperature is on him in general? Do you think people are awakened to him
as a player or in fantasy?
In fantasy,
he's too inconsistent. I think he's a good piece. I don't think, his rank, I think, is like 70 or something like that right now.
His field goal percentage hurts you.
Right. That's, and like we highlighted already, like you were talking about, no blocks, maybe a steal, as a small forward, shooting guard, doesn't give you too many assists. Rebounds are pretty good. He'll give you threes. I mean, he can light it up and hit you like seven threes in one game. So I think, he is a good player. I think some people are coming around to him, but I think in terms of, is he a Halliburton? Is he an Edwards? Is he a Ball? No. Like, is he going to be someone you're going to build around? No, he's nice to have as a player, and you actually might be able to use him to get maybe somebody else.
So is this the type of player so you have him?
I do.
Why wouldn't you package him with somebody else and try to get a better second-year player?
I think in our league, he was traded, dropped, and cleared waivers, and no one picked him up.
Okay, so he's going to be $1 next year.
Right. So maybe now, because he started heating up again, I could trade him for something else. But at the time, it was nobody wanted him.
So I would say, let's say you're not in an auction league. If you were able to pair like
again,
step one is to find somebody who needs categories. So you might, like, if someone needs rebounds and blocks and you've got Capella, you package Capella and Bay, and see if you can get LaMelo Ball. See if you can get Halliburton. See if you can get Edwards.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. Here's another guy I want to talk about is Cole Anthony. So in 48 minutes, he gets you 26, 8, and 8, which is fantastic with a steal, almost 5 free throws, and 3.5 threes.
Right. Which no one, I don't think anybody really saw that coming for this season after his last season.
But here's the thing, EFO. When you look at his game log, here's his field goal percentage: 308, 222, 429, 231, 500, 250, 353, 235, 278. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he must be in a little bit of a slump here because he's at 11, 2, and 5, 4, 4, and 2, 13, 4, and 8, 9, 9, and 6, 12, 4, and 3, 8, 6, and 8. Those were his last 6 games. Now, before that, he was at 19, 11, and 9, 12, 6, and 2, 26, 5, and 7. So where does he really, like, is this really a player that you want to have on your team?
For myself, no. I think he's a very good backup. And I think you're seeing Bama back into the rotation, Suggs back in the rotation, Carter back in the rotation. What's his name there? The rookie this year, Wagner, back in, like, getting more use in the rotation. And I think you're seeing those kind of people being utilized more, especially with Suggs coming back. And I think that's what's kind of hurt Anthony a little bit more, because Suggs has come back and actually played decent.
He has. I'm looking at his game log right now.
Yeah. So I think that's what's hurting Anthony right now. If you have him on your team and you're not going to win the league, again, I would put him in a category where if you can package him, it probably would have to be a top 15 player. But if you could package him with a LeBron, yep,
and then try to get.
But so we just talked about with Anthony and with Bay, and you're asking, are people, what's the temperature? I think the perception is that, like, these guys are going to fall off at any moment. Like, I think that's the perception of those guys. It's like that they're playing beyond, like, they're playing better than what they should be. I think that's just the perception, whether it's real, not, whatever. I think that is the perception of a lot of people. So even if you included Anthony and LeBron, I think the perception would be, well, I'm really only getting LeBron. It's like you're trying to give me Anthony to make it seem like it's a better deal, but at least that's what I feel is the perception of those kind of players.
Okay. I can appreciate that.
Because I don't think, because a lot of people are not going to be looking at it from this type of, like, oh, wow, he's actually a lot better if he had the more playing time than I thought. Let me trade for him, like.
So conversely, if you don't have him, you probably could get him so cheap that it's low risk, high reward. Like,
possibly, yes.
So this is a great opportunity to get. So, and it's likewise for Bay. Maybe you can get him if that's the perception, and they're on someone else's team. Cole Anthony, Sadiq Bey, and Devin Vassell. I mean, they're flying under the radar. And if you can acquire those players for pennies,
Right.
so to speak,
Yep.
man, and it pays off. You really didn't risk much. And you might have a killer team next year.
Right. Like you could probably almost take well, I think before he got injured, but Claxton from Brooklyn. I bet you could have taken Claxton and name your flavor of the week and traded him for Cole Anthony or Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there was a lot of hype around those guys, and Bay and Anthony were kind of let go a little bit, and people kind of forgot about them. And the perception is like, well, they're just thrown in the middle of a deal, but you probably could have traded for them.
Nobody has really, Cole Anthony's not he doesn't rank in the drops for Yahoo. So he's either out there on the waiver wire or he's on someone's team, probably stashed away.
Right.
And the same thing for Bay. I mean, he doesn't show up. So, okay, let's talk about two guys that are really interesting here. Jayshawn Tate and Desmond Bane.
Okay.
Tate has become a binky for both of us, but a frustrating one at that.
Yes.
And neither one of us own him at the present time.
I know, even though last season we basically just kept on going back and forth.
Dropping him and trading him.
Yes. Well, I don't.
Yeah. He'd be averaging 22, 10, and 5 with, and here's the linchpin here, 1.6 steals and 1.1 blocks.
Which is just,
it's nice.
It's yeah.
So those are his stats. Bane would give you 28 points, 7 rebounds, 3.9 assists with a steal, 1.7 steals, and 4.5 threes. And they qualify. I know Tate is a small forward and a power forward. And
Yes.
then Bane qualifies on Yahoo at point guard, shooting guard, small forward, but he is injured right now. It might be protocols. Yeah, it's protocols.
Oh, that's not bad.
So, okay, what are your feelings on these two players? If you're not going to win the league and you're out of it, and you own these players, do you keep them? And if you're out of it and you don't own these players, do you trade for them?
Tate is a little tough to trade for me. Just because he I think he's like 25 years old already. Because he didn't come right from college, if I remember correctly.
95. So he's like 26, 27.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
So with him, it's like, okay, he's actually probably going to start going down a little bit. A little bit, this might be because he came from the G League, and I think he was in there for a little while before he really or he was overseas. There was something with him that he was like a rookie at like 25 years old. Like, it was insane.
Okay. All right. He's going to help.
Bane, on the other hand.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Bane, on the other hand, I'd probably have a little bit more. I'd probably want him a little bit more on my team just because, he did. I think he's only like 21, 22 years old.
Mm. Yeah. And Yeah, 98. So he's 23.
23. So
I like that he qualifies at multiple positions. He does get you some nice steal numbers.
yeah,
He gets you threes, and he can put up some field goal duds. Like he put up a 214 and a 417, but he can also put up 600, 643, 467, 588.
yeah.
So I would like to have him. He was in free agency at the beginning of our season.
He was, yeah.
I picked him up and I dropped him because, just
A few of us did.
yeah, just first month, drops.
Yeah, yeah. Because it wasn't paying dividends. Hey, think about it this way: the Celtics drafted Bane and then traded him away.
Oh, okay.
They kept Pritchard and Nesmith instead of Bane.
Oh man, that just kills you.
It does. That's just one of those things where it's like, really?
What a trio that would have been.
Right. But then it makes you feel better as you're looking at this as a fantasy manager going like, oh, I guess I'm not as bad as some of these other guys who get paid millions of dollars with every
That's
year
true.
to do this.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that someone like a Tate, a Maxey, or a Bane, if you've got a specialist, like a 3-point specialist, like a Healed or a Bogdanovich,
Yep.
or you have a steals, a defensive specialist, like even like a Matisse Thibault, you might be able to get these guys for a specialist. Maybe even a double doubles guy, or even like a Kyle Kuzma. Maybe you don't think that he's going to keep up his pace, or maybe a Jaden McDaniels. You don't think that he's going to keep up his pace. You might be able to get these guys for somebody like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's because you're looking into the future. You're looking, okay, if I can get these young guys, especially a Bane, a Vassal, a Tate, for a specialist, yeah, why not? It helps me over the next couple of years. They're nice pieces. The guys ahead of me who I'm trading away, yeah, I mean, I still can't believe LeBron is doing what he's doing now.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, that's going to end, and he misses time, and he still puts up stats, but it's a little bit more on the frustrating side. I'd rather have some of these young guys to see what they would do.
Let me ask you this. So out of the guys that we haven't really talked about, like kind of in this range here, who would be your honorable mention? And I'll tell you who mine is. I'd go unless you already know.
I already know, and I think
All
it's going to be the same guy. Washington there, Denny Avdija. Exactly.
Avdiha. Maybe it's Avdiha. But yeah, that was my guy. Now, why would you target him?
He's still relatively young. I think he's still only like 21 years old. I think he was set back last year because of a shortened COVID season, and then him having that gruesome, horrible ankle injury. And he has a little bit, same thing with like Quickly. Quickly has a very easy path to producing if he would just take it. Denny has the same thing. I think what's his face is just in front of him. Caldwell Pope is in front of him pretty much in the depth chart.
So here's what you would get at 48 minutes. you'd get 15 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, a steal and a half, and a block and a half.
Yeah.
I like him because he's a European player. I've seen the videos of him. I like his style. He's got great passing, and he's just got interesting moves. Great ball handling, but just watching him last year, I had targeted him as a rookie. So, I mean, that's it. I think that's it in a nutshell.
You know, it's funny to look at, because I think last year's class was touted as a good class. And then when you look at over who was picked and what they're doing now, it really is like, it was nice to see that 48-minute things. But the funny thing is that 48-minute didn't really, it told us who a couple of guys who could rise up. But for the most part, the guys we thought were good were actually good.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, who were the top 3 in the rookie voting and everything. Those are the top 3 guys. And it was just a matter of who you ended up getting. But then you look at some of that it's like Patrick Willis, Okoro. I mean, Okongwu, he's starting to come on from Atlanta a little bit. Killian Hayes, like he was so hyped up, and it's like he's done nothing. And now that Cade's there, and you know, with Bay and Stewart, and you know, those guys, they're just pushing him out of the way, and he can't get healthy. You know, Nesmith, Precious has been a little tough. You know, it's like
Campazzo. I had him on my team at the end of last season. I was hoping he would do some, you know, build off of what he did at the end of last year, because he was a good contributor for steals, threes, assists.
Yeah. And I had him from my team for a little bit this year and just nothing.
But let us know in the comments who we missed, because it's going to help us too. But let us know if there's any second-year players that you would target and trying to get them as we head into the second half of the season.
I guess the only other one maybe would be Wiseman. Just because it's like, all right, we don't really know. He was doing decent last year, and now he's down. He still hasn't played. He probably won't be back until next season. I guess maybe for a playoff push.
So thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out on all of our platforms. We'll be uploading content on a weekly basis. Look up Dynasty Road on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next week, we're going to wish you a very good day.
Have a good one, people. You know, what's the word I'm looking for? When someone's just
zoom, boom. Okay, so I'm going to share a little grid that I got from, I think, NBA.com. Oh, these are rookies. Ugh.
Right, this is the rookies.
He's in free agency, like
he is. Yeah, no one's picked him up.
I could
except
just
for you right now.
Yeah, maybe I will.
See, it's funny how you change your perspective on some of these things, huh? As you start doing these.